How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully our audio is working. Oh yeah, looks like it is. Working better than my typing. Okay, there's our first chat away for the night. All right. Michelle shared Chiller Night Theater's post. Well, thank you, Michelle. All right, now let me go over here. You're going to hear an echo. I'm warning you. It will be temporary, though. It will be temporary. And then we'll take care of that. My God. Let me go over here. You're going to hear an echo. I'm warning you. It will be temporary. Get these shared. Michelle's waving with the grave wave. Little hand coming up out of the ground. Groovy. Waving with the grave wave. Share it. Up out of the ground. Chiller chat, because that just makes sense. All right. And we'll share it to Jack Shadow's page. And last but not least, we'll share it to the Chiller Night group, Facebook group page. All right, now we'll get rid of this echo. And last but not least, Roger says, good evening. Good evening, Roger. Thanks for joining us. Brian, hey, Brian. Get rid of this, shut that echo off. It's crazy. All right, there we go. Ghoul World Order. Hey, how's it going? Buzz Killer, talking zombie from Western Pennsylvania. Going good. Real good. Tonight's going to be, in about 1 minute we begin. Tonight, of course, we'll be doing the, our annual Star Wars May the 4th Be With You episode. So we'll have that to look at. So we'll just, chatting about... You guessed it, Star Wars. All right, and here we go, folks. It is 8 o'clock, so let us begin. Hey, everybody, this is Brian Hogue. Welcome to Chiller Chat. Today it is Star Wars Day. Somewhere along the line, they decided to make May 4th, May the 4th be with you. Not easy to say. Star Wars Day. And why not? Why not? John says, I bid you welcome. All right, John. Ghoul World Order says, when I was a kid, I thought Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ben Kenobi were brothers. I could never understand why they were never in the same shot together. True story. Okay, well, at least you eventually learned. That's I've never heard that before, so that's funny. All right, that is good. All right, so folks, back when I was 9 years old, I first saw Star Wars. I had no idea what it was. I just, my brother and a friend of his, my older brother Troy, was going. He and his friend, they wanted to go see this movie Star Wars, and I really didn't want to go see it because I didn't know. I had no idea what it was. We were all playing in the backyard, and it was time to go to the theater. So we went to the Drake Theater in Oil City, Pennsylvania, to see Star Wars, this movie called Star Wars, and I was mesmerized, and it was just such a life-changing event as far as stirring those the creativity within this this mind. And it really was. It was like, I can only imagine the wonder, the wide-eyed wonder that the audience sat in in 1933 first seeing King Kong, or 1939 seeing The Wizard of Oz. And this, of course, was one of those where it was just, it was amazing, you know? I mean, it really was. It was, if you lived through that, seeing being one of the original um, viewers at the time, you know there was nothing else to compare to Star Wars. You know that experience with the effects and everything. John says, "Greetings from YouTube. It is me, Crozak the Grand." Well, thank you, John. Crozak the Grand. So, Ghoul World Order says, "In fact, I thought the ghost of Anakin Skywalker that appeared with Obi-Wan and Yoda was Ben Kenobi. One or the other. I couldn't understand why they took so long to show them in the same shot." Yeah, that was well, I'm glad you got that all worked out. so so there you have it. I don't know. It really was. It was just you know, I am, I'm in my 50s, and I'm every bit as much of a fan as I was back when I was 9 years old. We hit a speed bump there, I don't mind saying, with The Last Jedi. If you love that movie, I'm happy for you. If you've known me, you've heard my rants about it. I will never be okay with that movie. However, we got a new hope, and not just by title. We have received the new hope, and the Mandalorian came in, and things started on a an upward path there with Disney's new line of Star Wars. So let's see. Al says, "Star Wars blew my mind at age 12 when I saw it in the theaters." Oh yeah, it was just amazing. It really was. All right, now who says that I can talk about Star Wars when it comes to a chiller show? Famous Monsters. That's who. Yeah, we're so used to seeing things like, you know, Dracula and the creature from Black Lagoon and all this stuff. But back when I was a kid, back in 77, 78, you know, I'd pick these up, and they'd have the monsters, the famous monsters would have Star Wars on them. So that's my cue, folks. That is my written permission slip to be talking about Star Wars on a chiller themed program. So there you have it. It's official. All right. So now, spoilers ahead. There will be spoilers ahead now, and these will be in regards to The Mandalorian Season 2. If you've not seen that episode, um, you might not want to hear some of this stuff, because you know, we'll be talking a little bit about that, because some of the stuff that I'll be talking about will springboard from that. So Ava said, "May the 4th be with you too." Sends me a little heart right back at you, baby. Ghoul World Order says Al Pacino, not so Pacino. Oh, I didn't see your above comment. I once heard Al Pacino was an option for the role of Han Solo. It sure would look odd for a Han to tell Greedo before he shot them, "I have to go to the restroom." Yeah, yeah. And was it Kurt Russell was a possible candidate for Han Solo as well, I heard. So it's kind of interesting hearing what some of the options were. Um, but okay, like I said, spoiler alert. I don't know if you know this, but today Disney Plus channel came out with Bad Batch. I tell you what, back a couple years ago, after The Last Jedi, I had just gave up, you know. And then some interesting things started to occur. I started hearing about this upcoming show, The Mandalorian, and, you know, Han Solo movie, Boba Fett movie, which got then sidetracked into a streaming series called The Mandalorian, but they didn't use Boba Fett. Although you know, as it's well been disclosed, Boba Fett has returned. We see now. Remember that? Okay, all right. So you have an opportunity right now to turn off and run away because some of these topics will definitely be tied in with the Mandalorian and some other things. So it's up to you. Up to you. Just giving you fair warning. All right, now we have learned that Boba Fett did indeed survive the Sarlacc pit. Okay, when we last saw Boba Fett in The Return of the Jedi in 1983, he very unceremoniously had been knocked into the Sarlacc pit, and what a what a horrible way, for us to believe that that character had perished. And it wasn't until some years later in 1991 where the expanded universe brought Boba back to life. And then they killed him again because Disney took over and they said all the expanded universe stuff is now null and void. Didn't happen. So for those of us who were fans of these characters, we were like, great. Now what? But they brought Boba back and the Emperor. Remember, there was a lot of people who unhappy with the decision to bring Emperor Palpatine back. I wasn't in that group. I didn't mind that because I figure, if there was anybody who could figure out how to, bring himself back through cloning and the dark powers of the Force, it would obviously be him, So I didn't think that was all that far-fetched. Plus, Dark Horse Comics came out in 1991 with a storyline called Dark Empire. And in this, we see they brought back Boba Fett and the Emperor, both within one story, the same story. So, so there you have it. Lasercorn says, "Hey peeps, happy 4th! Hey, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us." And Tamara Morrison, he played, of course, Jango Fett, and then he went on to play, of course, all the clones that you see in the movies after that. So, and he has returned to play Boba Fett. Now, the interesting thing is, Tamara is he 60? I think he's around 60 years old. Late 50s, maybe 60, maybe even 61. Now, think about this. The Mandalorian series takes place only 5 years after Return of the Jedi. That places Boba in his early 40s, like 41 years old, something like that, 40, 41. Tamara is playing a character 20 years younger than him. However, I don't know if you can see that very well, but I would imagine, I'm guessing some of the damage done to... Actually, I'll start off saying he doesn't look bad at all. I think he pulls it off very well. But there is some, I don't know, scar tissue and discoloration stuff. I'm guessing that might be from damage from the Sarlacc. We've yet to see how he escaped that, but Tom says, "Yo, beasties!" Hey, Tom, thanks for joining us. So I'm sure that will all be explained later this year when we see the Book of Boba Fett come out. So that's pretty cool. Happy to see that happening. And they have a bunch of shows. Like I said, Bad Batch started today. It's an animated show. Now, I watched this back a couple years ago after The Last Jedi. I started watching, and The Mandalorian started, okay? Now, because of this show, I went back and started watching The Clone Wars and then Rebels. The Clone Wars I very much enjoyed. Rebels, not so much. But yet, there were things in both of those that were considered canon, the official storyline. So that got me interested in watching this stuff to kind of get caught up. And that's what I'm doing with this story called The Bad Batch. I'm watching this because I'm sure they didn't just randomly throw this out there. There was Jon Favreau, who was the brains, behind the successful Marvel comics, Marvel Studio movies, uh, you know, made all the movies, starting to intersect and, all meet at a certain, they all converge at a certain point in Endgame. That's evidently what he's doing with Star Wars. So I think it's interesting. you know, it's it's just another way of telling the story, and so I'm curious to see what they're going to do with all of this. But we have a bunch of where is the Star Wars shows? Aha, right here we go. Look at all these titles that they're going to be doing. Look at that. Just look at them. The Mandalorian, of course, Bad Batch, Lando. I don't know what they're gonna do with Lando or what time era that's gonna be coming in. Obi-Wan, of course, they're starting to film that. I think this month. They've already finished the Book of Boba Fett. That's not up there because they were wanting to surprise everybody with that announcement, and they did. So I don't know. I think it's. I hope they just don't do too much and ruin it. However, if Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they've done wonders with pulling back in some of us old school fans, who are disenchantized with the sequel trilogy. So looking forward. I'm excited. I'm excited to be a Star Wars fan again. So John says, the sooner Kennedy leaves, the better. I know. Hey, I'm right with you on that. I think that's, how did my Star Wars die? It was betrayed and murdered by by Kathleen Kennedy. It really was. It was horrible to see that. Now I'm going to ask you this. Again, if you're just jumping on here, again, spoiler alert, danger, Will Robinson. This woman, of course, the head of Lucasfilms, it's a horrible decision. But anyways, she promised George Lucas, that she was going to carry on with the old school, the original characters, and be very respectful. Whoa, that went right out the window. The scene where Luke grabs a lightsaber and tosses it over his shoulder was very, very symbolic as to what Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson were doing with the whole mythology of Star Wars and its fan base. So I hear some things, I don't know how involved you are with following this stuff, the behind the scenes stuff and the supposed scoops from the inside of Lucasfilms, but I'm very curious to see if some of this stuff pans out. They're saying that she's heading out the door. They've been saying that for a while, but some things actually do seem to point in that direction. I'll be curious to see that happen. I'd love to see her get the boot, so we'll have to see. Cool World Order says, I don't follow Star Wars. I thought The Mandalorian was somehow a prequel series about Yoda's origins. No, The Mandalorian takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So there is a scene, again, spoiler alert, there's a scene at the end of, have you seen season 2? I'm telling you guys this because I'm saying there are spoilers that do they're about The Mandalorian, particularly about season 2. And Tom says, Star Wars under Disney jumps the shark far too often for my taste. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a couple things that I've heard some theories on what they're gonna do. I think with the right writers in there, the right people in charge, makes all the difference, and that makes all the difference between like the Karate Kid, series spinoff, the Cobra Kai. That's a highly entertaining show that I never thought I would be that interested in. But with the right people writing it and the fans, these guys are super fans of the original Karate Kid movies, so they love it. They have a passion for it, and that's their Star Wars. And you can tell that's a highly successful series, and I can tell with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, their love and passion is showing through the Mandalorian. Um, but they, okay, I'm telling you, spoilers. But when Luke Skywalker appeared on the Mandalorian, some people were like, "Wow, he's young." Well, yeah, this doesn't, this takes place 5 years after the Mandalorian, so of course he's still a young man. They're all young yet. That's what I'm saying. Tamora Morrison is playing a young Boba Fett, just kind of a little scarred up a little bit from the Sarlacc, but um, it's I that scene there with Luke Skywalker. Um, the few minutes that we got to see of him, if had the entire sequel trilogy had any of that had that in it, you would have seen people, true Star Wars fans, standing up cheering instead of walking out stone cold faced with no expression at the end of the movie. And I just wish they would have had people who loved it, fans of the franchise, of the myth, the mythology, making that movie, because it would have been tremendous had they just used. There's what, 3 minutes. 3 minutes of that episode was better than the entire sequel trilogy. Um, but anyways, don't get me going on that. Dark Empire, I mentioned about that, possible. Okay, now here's something interesting. I showed you all those titles coming up for Star Wars, and here's a character right here, Ahsoka Tano, who I think is a great character. I got this book and I've never read it because I just don't ever have time. So what good's it to me? I've read all these other ones. This is the original book, by the way, the original publication of Star Wars. It was published in 1976. Soon to be a spectacular motion picture from 20th Century Fox. Soon to be. So this is before, of course, it came out. And by the way, The Empire Strikes Back, a novel written by Donald F. Glut. We've had him on Chiller Chat. So I thought that was cool. That was a big reason I wanted to get him on here, but he didn't want to talk about Star Wars, so it was like, okay, fair enough. But Ahsoka Tano is, getting her own show, and there's a theory that I have. I don't know if you want to hear it. There's a storyline in. Okay, I didn't make up this theory. I'm just relaying it, and who knows if this is what's going to happen. But I heard Ghoul World Order said, "Have you ever noticed that The Devil's Reject is based off of The Empire Strikes Back?" No, I didn't. I didn't know that. I did not notice that. John says, "I hope that Rogue Squadron gets made into a series." Well, they where was that? Where do I have this? The Star Wars shows. That's Rogue Squadron. Yeah, that's supposed to be, from my understanding, Christensen is returning as Darth Vader, and I believe he'll be doing. I don't know this for fact. I'm just guessing he'll be doing some flashback scenes of Anakin, maybe. So we'll have to see. Gore World Order said watch The Devil's Rejects again. You'll notice the similarities. Okay, I'll have to do that. That's kind of funny. I didn't know that. But now there was an episode in Rebels called "The World Between Worlds." Now look at this. This was a type of a dimensional portal world that was buried underneath a Jedi temple, I believe, if I'm remembering this right. Now check that out. Now I want to show you the logo to Ahsoka. All right, are you noticing some similarities there? Ahsoka, World Between Worlds. Ahsoka. So what I'm guessing is because Ahsoka was part of, she was actually in there in an episode where she had fought Vader during the Rebels series, which was 5 years before A New Hope. Okay, give you some kind of timeline here. What I've heard that and nobody knows this other than the people actually making it, so it's just a theory. It's not a spoiler by any means because I don't know. Just an interesting thought that could possibly happen. Uh, I've heard that the creators of the Mandalorian, uh, they are working on fixing this sequel trilogy, particularly The Last Jedi. And a way that it's been theorized that they're going to do this is there's a scene where Ahsoka fights Vader, and we see Vader walk out of the temple in one of the episodes. Okay, and then another character comes in, grabs Ahsoka, and pulls her out. He was in the World Between Worlds. Looks through, sees her, pulls her out right before Vader's sword comes down and chops her head off. So saving her. Now some have theorized that in one timeline, Ahsoka was killed by Vader, and then you see him leaving the temple. Another suggests, and they say that that's the timeline that the Last Jedi is in. The other, where Ahsoka lives, is the one that the Mandalorian is currently in. And I hate that. I hate timelines and parallel universe stories. But this actually sounds like if it's done right, and it's only done once, and it should be because that temple, I guess that gateway into that realm was destroyed, so they can't reuse it. If it's done once, and if it fixes a lot of mess, it could be very. It could, if it's done right, I think it could be very interesting. It could fix a lot of damage that those sequel trilogies have caused. So we will have to see. Again, I don't know. It's not really a spoiler because I don't know. It's just a theory, and I thought it was an interesting one. So we will see if that comes true. I got 5 minutes left. One thing I wanted to say too, there's so much to talk about with Star Wars. I love it. Is actress Gina Carano. She, of course, plays Cara Dune in the Mandalorian seasons. She was fired at the end of 2020 for some tweets. And as you all know, this is not it never will be, never has been, is not, will not, have not, a political show by any means. And what I'm going to say isn't. All I'm saying is, if they fired her, they should fire the other guys who did it too. They did the exact same thing. They just had a point of view that was leaning more toward what Kathleen Kennedy and Disney finds acceptable. Pedro Pascal plays the Mandalorian. He posted stuff that I totally disagree with. But I'll tell you what, he and Mark Hamill, I don't agree with a lot of their viewpoints, but I honestly hope that they never stop posting. I hope they never stop. I hope there's never a reason that they have to stop. And the same with Gina Carano. Be fair. That's all I'm saying is I wish it were fair. And I do hope that they bring her back. I mean, she was fired and they say she's not going to come back. I would like to see them reverse that decision. I'd like to see them bring that character back. So only time will tell. I say leave politics to the news, or if you have a workplace policy, make it fair. How about the guys? Why didn't they get in trouble? Why have they never gotten in trouble? and she was posting stuff and she got fired. That's not right. You know, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. Political or religious, whatever. If you're shutting somebody up or executing some consequences upon them, then just make it fair. That's all I'm saying. I think anybody reasonably minded would agree with that. Dale says, "Hello, everyone." Hey, Dale, thanks for joining us. Good to see you. It is 8:28. I'm amazed at how fast this goes. I really am. I can't tell you how surprised I am every week. And I was trying to talk fast to fit everything in, and I still didn't get to what I wanted to. But I will say that I think the future of Star Wars hopefully is looking brighter. It is a new hope, I believe, with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni at the helm, from what I'm hearing, or it seems more and more like they are. So, with that, once again, Star Wars Day. May the Fourth be with you. We've been doing this for the last couple years, so I think it's fun. It's my chance to get on here and ramble on about a movie or a franchise, a space opera, a mythology that I really love. So, Al says, "Good night, everyone. Happy Star Wars Day." Good night, Al. All right. And with that, folks, don't forget, watch the Chiller Night pre-show this Saturday night, because I'm going to be talking about this Saturday, tonight. Well, if you're watching it on Stream TV, tonight is the 13-year anniversary of Chiller Chat. Last week was 13 years of Chiller Night Theater, or Jack Shadow. And now, this week, it's 13 years of Chiller Chat. So, with that, I will put a cap on this particular episode, and have a good night. Have a good Chiller night. We'll see you next week.
How many times do I have to tell you, just because something isn't good doesn't mean it's bad?